Let's discuss the student resources. So first you see here the student edition. That is just your text, just your ebook. If you pop over here to student resources, it'll open a new tab and it's laid out a lot like teacher resources. So on the right you'll see a few sections. First up here the grade level resources, and then over here unit level resources, and finally lesson resources. So if we start with grade level resources, you've again got your student edition, and then your ScienceSaurus is a cool tool. It's really a book that you may have in your classroom, and it just generally explains a lot of the big concepts in science. So over here in our table of contents, we've got, let's say we're learning about, I want to go back to doing science. So, making observations, doing investigations, organizing data, using tools. It can teach you about tools. It can teach you how to actually use tools like a thermometer, how to collect data. There's your hand lens, there's your thermometer. Just really basic stuff. And they have this for different grade levels. This one is 2nd to 3rd grade. We come back over to the contents. Let's go back. And maybe we're moving on to physical science. So if you're doing a section on matter, again, this really briefly explains matter and how it applies and the study of that science. So I think the ScienceSaurus is pretty cool, especially if you're just introducing a unit or introducing a new concept. So let's hop back over here. You've got your People in Science gallery, and I really like this maybe to be used for independent time or just that extension in a lesson. So if you click on it, you can just search a person or some kind of science career and it's going to pull it up. So let's see what this woman has done. And the kids can listen to it. Oh, I guess she's an eye doctor. The kids can listen to it right here if they want to, if they are not readers yet. And then we can hop over to careers and look at different kinds of careers. Pretty cool. I just like this because as a student, when I learned about science, I learned that the only career was a scientist, and that didn't mean anything to me. But knowing, oh, okay, an environmental scientist, they actually live in Texas, and they can study this, and that, and this person does it. Geologist, very important for our environment here and our economy. Okay, so cool. Oh, roller coaster designer, the kids would love that. All right, so again, you've got your grade levels. It's going to get a little bit more complex as you get bigger. And let's get back. You've got your glossary, a teacher's favorite tool. So if your students are hopped onto their computer or working from home and they have a question about what a word means, a science word, of course, they can go to the glossary and look that up. And then your media gallery is something you're not going to use often. This is just the images that are used in your book. So maybe if you really want the picture that you see in your book, you can pop on your media gallery and it's actually going to download it. So it'll pop up down in your downloads, and from there you can find your pictures. All right, so let's scoot down to unit level resources. So same resources, but we add a couple. So something I love is the NSTA science links. This is just links outside of ThinkCentral. So for instance, I was looking through this and clicked on science tools and I see, okay, so there's this different ways to look at microscopes, different lessons and ideas, and I found this BugScope site where it's actually a nonprofit run through Stanford, and you can mail in bugs and then they send them, or you mail in bugs to them, and then they're going to call you on a certain date, video chat you, and your students can actually work the microscope from school and get a really good up-close look at those bugs and ask this team of scientists at Stanford all kinds of questions. What an incredible life-altering opportunity in a kid's science journey. I mean, I would never forget that. Miss Spear is actually doing it in April. I'm really excited. So again, science links, the NSTA, that's just links that can take you to, lessons outside of ThinkCentral that are really cool. And they should relate somewhat to the lesson or the unit you're learning about. Okay, of course, again, student edition, and then here you can listen to it with audio if your kids are a little younger. If not, I wouldn't suggest using audio. Let them read it and make their own notes. The people in science is we've already looked at, has the careers, and then you have your online unit self-quiz. So I think this is a really fun thing for kids to do together in class.
Welcome to the ocean of knowledge.
Ranjit wants to build shell.
Okay, so you see what it is. It's just a unit self-quiz. And then vocabulary cards specifically for that unit that the kids can print off and make into flashcards. I think that's cool. And again, these are great resources for the kids in class or at home. And finally, your content readers. This may be newer to some of us. We may not have seen this yet. But these content readers are just little books, little science books that relate to the unit that you're reading about. So here is Zoom into Science. So you probably have these in print. And this is a great way to get your kids to apply what they're learning and see how that learning has been applied in real life. And they can listen to it. They can throw bookmarks over here, make notes that they can send to you. You can share this link right here to your Google Classroom if you run a Google Classroom. All right, so that's what those content readers are. And finally, over here on the left, well, I suppose we can go to lesson level resources. And then over here on the left, we've got our lesson 1 highlighted, and you can listen to that digital lesson we've talked about. But then also you notice that there's a little green line on a few of these that says Virtual Lab. So if you click on that lesson, you're going to see this pop up, Virtual Lab Datasheet. So if you're doing a virtual lab, which is in your digital lesson, this is just the papers that go along with that and help them to collect the data, and it really walks them through it. Cool, cool, cool. So that would be a good resource to print off for your kids or have your kids print off at home when they're doing the digital lesson that has a virtual lab. And again, you know it has a virtual lab when it's green right here. It's always good to know and to keep up with the standards we've covered and what's coming next. It's going to help you find the missing links if kids are not understanding something in your lesson. So there are your TEKs right there. And inquiry flip chart is something that I might use more as a teacher. I don't know that I would pull this up for students because I think it's mainly just reading, not a lot of application. But it's there for you if you would like to use it. And then inquiry lesson pages is just some worksheets that would go along with that flip chart. So along with your lesson. Okie doke. So that is what your student resources look like. And there you go.